on Thursday, June 8th, 2023 at 7:12. We apologize for the delay, but we had a meeting previous to this, but it's wonderful to see the audience so full. That does not happen very often. So that must mean tonight's going to be a good night. So the first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. The next item on the agenda is approval of agenda. I need a motion to approve. Motion by Mrs. Rogalski, second by Ms. Smith. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Item A, approval of minutes from the regular meeting, 5/24/2023. Item B, approval of minutes of the executive session, 5/24/2023. Was that in? Okay. Okay, so we are going to table the approval of minutes of the executive session 5/24/2023. So we're going to omit that from this motion. So back to the top. The consent agenda. Item A, approval of minutes from the regular meeting 5/24/2023. Item C, the enrollment report 6/1/2023. Item D, the school police report 5/1/2023. Item E, the school bus inspection reports, 6/1/2023. And item F, the residency truancy report, 6/1/2023. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A, C, D, E, F.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Fiorello. Second by Mrs. Rogalski. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is personnel announcements. Mrs. Dresek.
Hi, good evening. We have one personnel announcement for this evening. We have an unpaid personal leave of absence for the 23-24 school year. That's Lauren Bianchi, a grade 7 math teacher at McCourt Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is report out of the executive session meeting on 6/8/2023. Item 1, a report out of executive session votes. We did take a vote in the executive session tonight, and the school committee voted to deny student A's request to expunge a discipline record, and the school committee voted 7-0. The next item on the agenda is a vote to seal the minutes of the executive session. I need a motion to seal the minutes. Motion by Mrs. Rogalski. Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Thornton.
Madam Chair, good evening. First, it's my pleasure to announce the 23-24 Teacher of the Year. We had several great nominees this year. I want to give you the nominees first. We had from Ashton School, Leah Hogan. From B.F. Norton, we had Liz Simeo. From Community, we had Tara Villanova. From Cumberland Hill, we had Chelsea Babineau. From Garvin, we had Gina Campopiano. From North, we had Joe Semick. And from the high school, we had Tammy Lemieux. As you may know, this year's winner is Miss Tammy Lemieux from the high school. Tammy, come on up. Tammy, if you could stand right here while Mr. Costa says nice things about you. Let's start with that, okay? So, Mr. Costa, please.
Thank you. Tammy, this is truly an honor. It really is. Tammy is an exceptional teacher who has a unique ability to connect with her students on a personal level. She takes the time to get to know each student individually and tailors her teaching methods to meet their specific needs. Her approach to teaching ensures that every student in her classroom is engaged and motivated to learn. In addition to her teaching duties, Tammy finds ways to include her students in all aspects of school culture. Tammy uses a real-world approach to teaching her students social skills. You can always get a cup of coffee at Perks, our student-run breakfast shop for teachers. There, you will find transition students as cooks, accountants, delivery people, and order takers. She also encourages them to participate in extracurricular activities, such as unified teams, as well as academic clubs. Tammy's dedication to our students extends beyond the classroom. She coordinates the Helping Hands Club at the high school. Their efforts to support the less fortunate in our surrounding communities were recognized by the May Foundation this past year. Mrs. Lemieux, along with the Helping Hands Club, were awarded the Be the Light Humanitarian Award. Additionally, in an effort to support the most struggling students, she extends her day by providing needed transportation for students in our after-school program. Not only does Tammy spend considerable time to find opportunities for her students, she spends an equal amount of time celebrating their accomplishments. She encourages staff across the building to come celebrate with her students. She makes every achievement a special one. Tammy's passion for teaching is contagious, and she inspires her colleagues to strive for excellence in their own teaching. Her positive attitude and willingness to help others makes her an invaluable member of our school community. She is always willing to lend a helping hand, and her contributions to our school have made a significant impact on our students. Congratulations, Tammy.
Thank you. I'm really blessed to have such great students. Thank you. A little shorter than everybody else. I just want to say thank you. I'm so happy to be part of an awesome district. I've been here my whole career. I've done a couple of jobs. I started at North Cumberland, moved up to the high school, and now that I'm in the transition program, I'm just having so much fun. My students just bring me joy every day. That's all I can say, and that makes doing my job much easier. So thank you all for that opportunity, and thank you for Adolfo and whoever else chose me to do this. Thank you. I just really enjoy my job.
So Tammy, I'd like to present to you this plaque that says Cumberland School Department 2023 District Teacher of the Year, presented to Tammy Lemieux in recognition of your inspirational actions and excellence in educational leadership. Congratulations.
And we have the perpetual plaque, but this year it's a new plaque. She's the first name on the new plaque. So, congratulations. You can't keep this one, but hang on to it. Thank you. Yes, I'll take that. And now I'd like to call up Ms. Coughlin for a series of awards for North Cumberland Middle. Ms. Friedman, if you could come back down.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the committee for allowing us, Mrs. Rayo and myself, to come in and highlight some of the talented and pretty exciting acknowledgments and opportunities that our students have had and awards that they've brought home and represented North Cumberland Middle School and the school department extremely well. So the story starts about 3 years ago when a parent of an incoming sixth grader, his name's Mr. Desari, emailed me and asked me if we had a chess club, because that's something that his son Arjun was very interested in. So it was coming out of COVID, and you know, I put it out to the staff, who were all extremely exhausted, and as much as they wanted to you know, really build on extracurricular activities, it was slow to happen. So instead of you know, walking away and saying, oh well, Mr. Desari did something that was fabulous, which was develop the team himself. And it started, this is our second season with an NCMS chess team, so I'm talking about the chess team right now. Started out last year to be a smaller group of students who not only practiced every Tuesday in the library, but also went on to compete around the state. And in the Rhode Island Scholastic Chess League and the Ocean State Scholastic Chess League. So we had a few leagues that the kids participate in, competing against the best and brightest of the private school, homeschool, and other public school circuit. And they have always done very well. But this year, the program grew dramatically to include 3 varsity teams and a junior varsity team. The accolades include in the Rhode Island State Chess Scholastic League, a 3rd place for the season. In the Ocean State Chess Scholastic League, a 2nd place for the season. Our all-girls team, yay, the Ocean State Chess Scholastic League, they got a 3rd place. In the state championship, we got a 1st place in the Ocean State. In Rhode Island Scholastic League, we got a 2nd place in the state championship. So I thought that was just amazing. Again, the list of schools really is amazing. The list of schools that they compete with is pretty impressive, and North Cumberland Middle School has certainly made themselves known against these schools. So I'm gonna read off, and I'm gonna ask the chess team members to come forward. We're going to take a group picture, and then we'll go on to our next one. I'm gonna start by asking Mr. Desari to come forward. And he deserves a round of applause for bringing this opportunity to all the students of North Cumberland Middle School. Thank you. I have Arjun Desari, Shivan Jha, Sai Kushal Gadavarthi, Joseph Usio. That was our varsity team A. Varsity team B, Shivatz Pandey. Blake Nelson. Now, Blake won the middle school section of the Ocean State Blitz Tournament. So Blake won that on his own, which is pretty awesome. Saket Govin. Sarish Ganakasaran. Sindhu. And Rockman Carter were Team B. And our varsity Team C, Ava D'Amaral, Varsini Eugenie, Kayla Conroy, and Sadwika Achakola. Junior varsity was Logan Boucher, William Marshall, and William Salzman. Yep, so great job. Now, Mr. Desari's work did not stop there. He also, along with Mr. Gadavarthi and Mrs. Eugenie, put together a team for the Rhode Island Science and Engineering Fair that was held. This is the 2nd year in a row that they were participating in the Science and Engineering Fair. I was fortunate enough to be invited to the awards ceremony in March, I believe that was, and I sat there and my jaw dropped because it was a group of brilliant high school students and middle school students who submitted projects, ideas, and solutions that blew my mind. And our students did a fabulous job. In fact, in the middle school division, again, against the best and the brightest middle schools in the state, they won Best in Fair. They were one of the top 2 projects of all entered. They also received special awards. So different companies, organizations around the state come as judges, and they provide special awards to teams for various reasons. The special awards that our students received was the Lemonson Foundation acknowledged our team for the development of an outstanding invention. It's exhibited at the fair. The U.S. Agency for International Development, they acknowledged our team for scientific excellence and using science innovatively to create a potential solution to international development challenges. The Department of Defense acknowledged our team for their determination and problem-solving skills and excellence in STEM. So again, this was no joke. This was a huge, huge proud moment for myself as a principal of the school, and also for seeing what parents getting involved in the school community can do for all of us. So I would ask that Arjun Dasari, Sai Kushal Gadavarthi, and Varshini Eugenie come forward, along with the coaches, Ravi Dasari, Naveen Eugenie, and Satish Gadavarthi come forward as well. And the last one. And it doesn't stop there, Mr. Dasari, does it? Not. We also had Mr. Dasari and company create the NCMS Robotics Club, something that we've been trying to get started again at North Cumberland Middle School. So he put together a team. Arjun Dasari, come on forward. Sai Kushal Gadavarthi, Varshini Eugenie, Navya Agarwal, Homa Thalaru, and Vendashi Singh. We're part of the robotics team. You can see their sweatshirts there. So just a few accolades to express on their behalf. The NCMS robotics team had an outstanding performance in the state championship that was held on January 28th. They were competing against 16 other teams from around the state. They were awarded the second place. They were awarded second place in the state finals. They will be representing Rhode Island in the U.S. Open at Worcester Polytech on June 9th, 10th, and 11th. This is an international competition. In addition to this win, they also received an award for Best Robot Performance. Again, coaches Ravi Dasari and Naveen Eugenie, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Coughlin. And if I could, it is a school night, so it is totally okay if you all want to go, or you can certainly stay for our meeting. We're happy to have you.
We'll miss you.
Thank you. And how quickly, is it on? Yeah. Yeah. And how quickly June comes, and I say that because now the race is really on for opening of school, and our focus really is on the construction projects, right? And we now backwards map to the Labor Day time frame and really look at where we are. So that's really our focus now. These first pictures, this is Garvin. As you recall, the Garvin roof was part of the project. I'd say it's probably 2/3, 3/4 done right now, so it's moving right along. That's the roof. Next, Mike. The sidewalk was torn out at Garvin in the front, and that's the new sidewalk. Since this picture on Tuesday, it's already been framed out. It'll probably be poured probably early next week. That's moving along nicely. Here, the windows are being removed from Garvin, the old windows, and that's done at this point, completed. That was on, I think, Monday, this picture. Mike? And the parking lot is finally being cleared of all the debris, so you'll see, that looking a little different over the next couple of days. The bathrooms, total renovation, gutted. Now we have new tile and new floor tile, so it's starting to look like a bathroom. New basketball hoops are in at Garvin, so that's a nice touch. Those are in and installed, also painted. The windows are going in the addition. That's the frame from the inside, what it looks like. Those are 3 windows going in. And that's a picture of the new window facing the street, a nice look for Garvin right there. And this is the courtyard and the addition. The brickwork is going in, so it's moving right along. That's the window from the outside, what it looks like, one window. And there's the whole set one day later. That's what it looks like right now in the front of Garvin. Over at Ashton, sidewalks being poured. We poured the first part, and now you turn the corner. Next picture, Mike, and that's the next run. So that's what it looks like right now. And this is inside Ashton. The rooms are really ready now for the ceilings and the floors. They're kind of at that point now at the addition at Ashton. And you can't really see, they're hydro-seeded. That's where they are. So they're seeding at this point at Ashton. Same thing, they're seeding here. Community, first course of tar is down on the first section. Not the whole section, but the first section. That's encouraging. They'll do the second section towards the playground area, and then second course probably, I was told, end of this month, probably. Inside, the millwork is going in. That's a bench they put in across the whole front of the cafeteria for the kids to sit at. That's going in. Looks really nice. Lighting is in. That's over the stage in community in the caf. The lighting is in. Sinks are going into the bathrooms. I was happy to see that. That's moving right along. And a door went in yesterday. And over at community, today this happened. I go there a lot. Today, they put the floor in. The floor is going in at the new addition, so that's exciting to see. And those are the pictures. As I said earlier, the biggest thing is timing and just making sure we're on schedule. As you know, Ashton, there's no rush because Ashton's coming up here, but that addition is on schedule. Looks great. Community, same thing. Looks really good. They'll be actually doing what's called breaking through when school is done. As you recall, probably, the addition isn't really connected to the regular building of community, so they punch the hole through on the 26th of June. It's not a 1-hour job, it's a multi-day job to punch the hole, but they start that on 6/26. Garvin, the windows are coming in, and some are ahead of schedule, so that's good to see. So that's encouraging. I think the challenge still remains just buttoning up the addition so they can get the sheetrock going, and that's hopefully happening within the next 2 weeks or so. So right now, it's encouraging. Any hurdles we have, we're overcoming them. I'll give you one example. We took out the old windows. As you can imagine, you sometimes find bad things. We found some wood rot when the windows came out. So we got a carpenter available and did what's called T&M, time and money. And for a quick, small fee, we framed out all the wood and put the windows in. So we have a hurdle, we problem solve, and move on to the next thing. That's what it is. At old construction, old buildings, you have things like that. So happy to answer any questions on the construction.
Any questions for Dr. Thornton? All right, thank you. Okay, and next on the agenda is reports, was there a question? Okay. Is reports of standing committees. Item A, Fiscal Management Subcommittee update. Mr. Collins?
Good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you. The Fiscal Management Subcommittee met this evening. We have a few things here. First of all, we have 11 resolutions. We have payment of the bills. We also have a budget amendment to reconcile with the town's budget, which was approved by Fiscal Subcommittee 3-0. We also have, it's a non-binding resolution in support of a House Senate bill, which will, for 6 months, raise the base reimbursement rate from 38% back up to 40%. It's a 6-month extension. It's non-binding. It doesn't really do anything. It just shows our support for that. And the other thing is, unless you were looking at the agenda for fiscal, our next fiscal meeting, and this is important for the entire committee, our next fiscal meeting is 2 weeks from tonight. It's usually scheduled for 5 o'clock. That coincides with the 4:30 NCMS graduation here at the high school. The subcommittee made the decision, what we're going to do is we're going to take any business from that. And typically, the second meeting's a light agenda. We're going to move that, we're going to not have that meeting. It will not be held in any fiscal business. Obviously, what comes out of fiscal comes to the full committee. I would assume we're still having the full meeting as scheduled, so we're going to move anything. Anything that we would have to take up in fiscal subcommittee, we always have the option to convene an emergency meeting or something like that. Bottom line is, it's going to be congested, incredibly congested. It'll be difficult for the public to attend the fiscal subcommittee if we were going there. And the chair of the fiscal subcommittee is going to be watching his 8th grade daughter, his baby, graduate. So that was not they could have held it without me, but it is traffic as well. So just so the public is aware, not that we get a droves of people at fiscal subcommittee, but we will not be holding it on the 22nd. So, but the public is always welcome. It's riveting, especially when Alex is there. So we're busy tonight. Looks like tonight was your last meeting. It was fun doing business with you, Alex. So, no, well, I have a feeling, no. We could always have, with budget season, I would highly doubt this is the last meeting, so we will see Alex again. But as for fiscal subcommittee, it is canceled as of now, but we still have other meetings potentially to have if needed.
Thank you. Next is the Policy and Procedure Subcommittee update. Mr. Fiorello, it did not meet this week. Okay. The Achievement and Communication Subcommittee meeting also, committee did not meet this week. And the District Health and Wellness Subcommittee also did not meet and is not meeting again until September. Okay. Next item on the agenda is comments from the public. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak? President Kinch, nice to see you.
I just wanted to, as you know, we had a final vote on the budget. I just wanted to thank the school committee, the administration for their cooperation through the process. So thank you very much. While you were in executive, I got a chance, but I do want to congratulate all the students from North Cumberland Middle School, and I also wanted to congratulate the Teacher of the Year. I'm sure that must not have been an easy choice, but a good one. So congratulations, Tammy, on behalf of the Town Council. Thank you.
Thank you, President Kinch. Any other comments from the public? Okay, next item on the agenda is old business, item A, discussion and/or vote to approve the revised school construction timeline, which we've discussed previously, but Dr. Thornton, do you want to take us back to that again?
There's nothing new, Madam Chair, as discussed. I'm leaving it on for you to consider at some point taking an action. You certainly can take action tonight. You can certainly wait. As you know, it's Ashton this year. We're talking another year for community. But I told you last meeting, I believe it was 1.2 million was the delta if you were to, not do this. So happy to answer any questions or just bring it on to the next meeting again.
I'll make a motion to approve the new timeline.
Okay, Mr. Fiorello makes a motion to approve the timeline. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Smith for discussion. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? It passes 6-1 with Mrs. Rogalski voting in the negative. Next item on the agenda is discussion and a vote on the fiscal year 2024 school budget amendments. And actually, going back to item A, we should just clarify what that means so that everyone knows and that we can then start publicizing this. So Dr. Thornton,
Sure.
so would you
So,
just?
to clarify, this next year, Ashton Elementary comes up to the trans for this next construction year. The following year, community school would come up to the trans, and we would construct or renovate community in that school year. It'd be a one-year construction job. So Ashton this year, for the 23-24 school year, 24-25, community would come up here.
Yes, Mr. Collins.
And, yeah, if you could just also explain the cost savings that the district is saving by doing so?
Well, right now, you had asked me earlier, the current wisdom of the summer slams, as they call them, versus doing it in one long process. In talking to the construction folks, you would expend more money if you did it over a couple summers. And the problem is you would have to reduce scope. If it's $1.2 million more for a couple summers, A, you have to finish both summers on time and open, and B, if you're cutting scope, what are you not doing? You'd have to value engineer the building. As you know, so at Cumberland Hill, we have the Cumberland Hill standard, as we call it. We did things like the cubbies, the ceiling tiles, right, all those things. So our concern would be, we'd have to value engineer community or find $1.2 million more to make it whole.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Thornton. Next is discussion and a vote on fiscal year 2024 school budget amendments. Mr. Collins.
All right, this appeared before fiscal. The bottom line is every budget season, the school department has an ask from the town. The town presents their budget, and if there's any sort of, variance, the town has the final approval of the budget. So there was a gap in what we were asking, what the town was giving us. But the good news is we found a remedy, and the remedy does not include any sort of cuts to personnel or programming. In fact, we are, because of necessity in our growing student body, we're actually adding personnel. So essentially what it does is just move some money around. This is one of the last acts of Mr. Prignano's accounting wizardry. But we had to move some money around, but again, there's no cuts to programming or staffing, which is obviously, I think, the things that most people with children in the district care most about. So that's it. So this did pass fiscal subcommittee 3-0, and I'd move passage to the full committee.
Okay, Mr. Collins makes a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024 school budget amendments. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Vogel. Any discussion? Mrs. Rogowski?
Could I just please get an explanation of the healthcare change that was 3% increase, now 0%?
Mr. Prignano?
I was just wondering if you could just explain what the healthcare change is. There was 3% increase, now 0%.
To the microphone, please, Mr. Prignano.
The microphone out.
Let me move it down from Tammy Lemieux. The healthcare change, we had originally looked to increase the healthcare by a 3% increase, which is what we're kind of trending with claims, 2.5% to 3% this year. However, in order to find some of the money to balance this, not only did we take on the $500,000 reduction from the town, we also went through our ESSER accounts and found that we would be about $357,000 short in ESSER if we just let it ride throughout the year, so we had to take some positions out of there. That was basically because a couple of years ago when they put that budget together, they had no idea who would go in the jobs, and they budgeted everyone at like step 5, kind of like who knows who will be in there. Well, almost everyone in there is like a step 10. So they would have really exceeded that, and the general fund would have had to eat it at the end of the year. So it was like 800 change that we had to kind of move around. The health care is kind of a strange thing. We're going to run, what WB Community does is they give us a working rate for the year. That working rate that we're paying right now is going to allow us to run about a $400,000 surplus in that account this year. However, our claims are running right at that $8,899,000, right at the number that we budgeted. So the working rate would have went up 3% to cover those claims. We're going to leave it the same. As you recall, last year we created that internal service fund for healthcare, and we've got about $1.4 million that we've built up in reserves that we feel if we have another year where claims are just about what the budget is or exceed it, we have some money to fall back on. That was one of the reasons we wanted to set that up, and we to take healthcare in any one budget year, not an issue, that could put your budget in the red. You always had the following year to adjust the working rate. So we're going to try to go with the same rate, and the same with dental. You'll see dental's the last thing. We had projected that to go up 3%. We did get word that WB is not recommending any increase in those rates, so we took that money out. So a lot of these changes are basically having more information than I did in February type of thing. You put a budget together in February, you don't know exactly where you're going to end up in some of the things. So I've been able to move some money around by some things, being a little bit better than now than they were in February with revenues like the preschool and some of those other things that you see on that list. Go over the list if you want, or I'd rather not.
Oh, Karen,
Oh.
I have a couple more things to add.
Is that good, Mr. Bukowski? Okay, Mr. Collins.
I was just going through my notes here, and there were a couple other things to add regarding that, the budget reconciliation. Things that are also working in our favor is that our RADM, which is that metric, RIDE has raised that by 15 students, and that'll be a net gain of $386,000. I thought I would share that with the community. And also, BVP students are returning, and that's helping us, it's not like it's not going to eliminate the $4 million we're spending this year, but at the same time, they are recognizing what we've been talking about all along. So a lot of them are transferring back into the district or coming into the district from the first time Cumberland residents. So things are trending in the right direction for us, and and it's working out financially for us as well. So we were able to minimize the reductions to things in the district. So looking good for next year budget-wise.
Great. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Prignano. We'll miss you next year. Next item on the agenda is new business. And item A is student hearing, but Mr. Adams, I don't believe we put this here as a placeholder.
So that, under the law, in a student hearing matter, if a student requests that the discussion, and I would use air quotes around that word because that's what's in the Open Meetings Act, if they want the discussion in open session, not the hearing, the discussion, then they can have it that way, and they could make that request 1 minute before the meeting begins. So we have to notice it for open just in case, but in this case, that is not happening.
Okay. All right, then we will move on to item B, which is discussion and or vote to support Rhode Island House Bill 5792, Senate Bill 0454 relating to education, foundation level school support. Mr. Collins referred to this earlier. It was on the fiscal subcommittee, and it passed there 3-0.
Yeah, I would just add, this is very similar to what you see at the town council quite a bit. They have resolutions from Middletown. Actually, we did get an email from the Middletown town manager regarding this as part of our packet. But you see Newport's, in support of Newport's resolution regarding green energy. But this is a little bit more, we're not even signing on to the bill. We don't belong to the General Assembly. We're just showing support. This is a net gain for Cumberland, a bond that's already underway, but it restores us in how much money, if any, if in theory, if it passes, we would save money, but we don't know if it's going to pass or whatever. But it sounds like a good idea. Fiscal subcommittee agreed, and I would move passage to the full committee.
Mr. Collins makes a motion to support Rhode Island House Bill 5792, Senate Bill 0454. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Smith. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is discussion and or a vote on accessibility of school committee meeting packets for public viewing. This came up, there was a Providence Journal report by the ACLU where they looked at remote access to public meetings post-COVID. And as everyone knows, during COVID, we had to provide remote access to meetings, remote participation to meetings. And so they just looked across the state and looked at town councils and school committees to see how they were doing. And in fact, our town council passed this with flying colors, providing that they fully provide remote accessibility. So that was really good to see. And then on the school committee side, we do provide, we provide, watch the live stream. You can watch the archived video, but there were two areas where we don't provide. We don't provide remote participation, and we don't give access to any of the materials that we're discussing at that meeting online. So if somebody were watching from home, they can't access the same kind of things that we could access that our public information. So for tonight, I just wanted to discuss the viability of us being able to provide the meeting information online. So right now, when we provide the agendas, Cindy Shabbat gives access to the Google folders on the Google Drive, and anybody from the public can access those. If we, I guess the option is that Cindy could provide access to the folders where our information lives, that people could access during the meeting or ahead of the meeting. So I wanted to talk about the viability of that, and just have that discussion, and then we can decide.
The only caveat I would say is if you make the folder public, folks have to know it's kind of a living document, as you will update things from Tuesday to the Thursday meeting. Someone might be concerned that something changed from Tuesday at 12 o'clock to Thursday, and that piece was added on Thursday morning, let's say, to be more complete. That's just the process. That's how things come in sometimes.
Mrs. Feather?
So, I think that making things accessible is definitely a way that we should go. But I'm also concerned because I know that there are some sensitive items that are within our folders, so I'm wondering if there could be a new folder created.
I believe the only, this is
just-
all public information that would
Right.
be available.
But I want to make sure that there's just no cross-pollination of anything that, okay,
Yeah, no, that is
yeah.
certainly a concern that we would have to make
I
sure
get very
that.
concerned with Google Documents, and so, so I just want to make sure that we
Here's a
have-
good example probably to that, maybe, give you an example real time. We talk about next year, I'll be giving you some thinking on changing a boundary for community to go from a 5-track to a 4-track, and that will be some maps we'll be creating, that kind of thing. At some point, that would be in your public folder before a meeting, so that would be in there Tuesday before the Thursday meetings. That could be something that you maybe want first for you to look at and digest, but that's one of those things, that's not exec session, that's open session. So that would be fair game for the folder for Tuesday.
Right.
we maybe asked questions on that before we've even had a chance to review it, because other people might be in it. Is that, am I
don't-
understanding him correctly? So,
Yeah.
I am, right? So that,
So what is the concern?
the concern, so as Dr. Thornton was just saying, when, if there's something like a new boundary being drawn, they would put that documentation in on Tuesday. I may not personally get to look at it until Thursday, but the public would be able to see it on Tuesday and may ask questions of us on Tuesday, on Wednesday, when we haven't had a chance to review it yet. So it's just a question of,
Another potential, maybe, is that we make the information available, like, when the meeting starts, at that time. Because the point of it is that if you are watching remotely, that you're able to have all the information that you might be able to have if you were here in the meeting. And that would be a possibility. One other thing I just want to add, the town council uses Clerkbase, so if you've ever looked at how they do it, now I don't know what that entails, yeah, probably some of this.
It's a cost for that, Madam
So you
Chair.
could go, if you were going to a town council meeting, you would see the agenda, there are links to all of the information, anything that would be presented at the meeting that night. We can do it in this.
Yeah,
Kinda
I think in my
4 minutes
former
worth.
life, Madam Chair, we had IQM2, I think it was called. It's like, say, a $25,000, $30,000 kind of item.
Yeah. Ms. Smith and then Mr. Fiorello.
So, Madam Chair, if I recall, and maybe Mr. Kinch can help clarify on that, because they use the clerk base, but that hyperlinks over to the Secretary of State, and everything is there and can be hyperlinked as documentation from that. So maybe we need to expand on what we're doing and putting those links in when it goes to the Secretary of State, because we do publish. Is that what we're looking at, is potentially doing that, and that would link it over to a file?
I think what we want to be able to do is provide access. I think we would leave it to the administrators to figure out how can we provide access. I think we're making a decision, should we provide access to this information? And then they can handle that. That's what's on the agenda for tonight. Something else I'd like to talk about at a future meeting would be remote participation, but that's not on the agenda tonight. Right now, it's just the information. Mr. Fiorello?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we did look at clerk base, but it was cost prohibitive. It was just way too much money.
Yeah.
I'd also like to ask Mr. Adams, if we start allowing remote participation, if for some reason we're having technical issues, would that shut down our meeting? Or would we have to build a policy to kind of compensate for that?
What an excellent question, Mr. Fiorello. Thank you for that.
That is not on the agenda for tonight?
Yeah,
but-
not on the agenda, so we'll, thank you, Mrs. Friedman. I appreciate the stay of execution.
But I would like to discuss that at a future meeting. Yes. Yes, Ms. Smith?
Just in my years leading up to, before running and making that decision, I spent a lot of time, online, watching the meetings. It was during COVID. And one of the things that I think I constantly said and asked for all the time was, when can I see these documents? Or where are these documents? I don't know what you're discussing. And it was something that Mr. DeMonico and I had many discussions about. This is public. These are things that are occurring at our public meeting. We don't have to respond to anybody before our public meeting because we're not addressing it until the public meeting. So having available just for them to have it, I mean, certainly it's our decisions whether we address anything with anybody in our districts or anybody else that's asking questions, but, I'd be remiss to do it personally before a meeting that hasn't occurred yet. I think it's really a smart idea to have what we can for the public documents presented.
Mr. Collins?
I agree with Ms. Smith. I agree with Ms. Friedman, with you for raising this issue. The only issue is tonight, unless we know specifically what's changing, perhaps we can maybe table this until we have an actual action plan. And yeah, I agree. We absolutely, we're a public body. The more information the public has, the better. We have nothing to hide. It's,
Yeah.
But I just want to, when I vote, I want to know specifically, I don't want to vote on theoretically opening more documents out without the specific what's in, what's out. Obviously, to Mrs. Feather's point, stuff from executive session that's stamped confidential won't be in there. But I want when we present it and we vote on it, I want to know, I want the public to know exactly where to go, how they click on it, what they'll be able to see. Yeah, but I mean, like in fiscal, the budget projections and all that other stuff, they should have that stuff. And I mean, and I know the budget stuff, the proposals and stuff is always posted after the fact, but anything that can help the public become more engaged and, remote access is obviously something for a later date. But if people see the thing ahead of time and go, geez, I'm going to go down there and maybe not obviously ask questions, but I can do it back and forth, but provide a comment or an observation to help us better make the decision, that's obviously the people put us here. We need the people to help us do our job. So I think it's an awesome idea. And, yeah,
So we put it on here for a discussion and a vote. So the discussion is that we would like to further pursue this to see the details of how we would do this and the timing and just get a plan together. Then we can bring it back to the committee. Okay. All right, excellent. Thank you, everyone, for that. Next item on the agenda is vote to approve the ICSI MOA.
Are we taking no action?
We're taking no action on this tonight. No. Next, item D, vote to approve the ICSI MOA for amendment to the ICSI contract, converting certain stipends to wages. We did discuss this in exec. We need a motion on this. Mrs. Rogalski makes a motion to approve.
Second for discussion.
Second by Mr. Fiorello for discussion.
Yeah, I just want to point out that this will only affect a couple of different maintenance workers who, quite honestly, years ago, we used to have 15 maintenance workers. We now have less than 5. I've lost count, really. But, yeah, we should definitely be supporting this.
Okay, any other discussion? So we have a motion to approve. Do it, and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is discussion and a vote to approve homeschool instruction requests for the 2022-2023 school year. Motion by Mrs. Rogalski to approve the homeschool instruction request. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Smith. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. Next, discussion and a vote to approve resolutions. Mr. Collins.
Good evening again. We have 11 resolutions, all of which passed Fiscal Management Subcommittee 3-0. We have SCPR-06, 2023, to 59 through 69. Again, it passed Fiscal Management Subcommittee 3-0, and I'd move passage to the full committee. And
Mr. Collins makes a motion to approve resolutions SCPR 06, 2023-59 through 69. Do we have a second?
Second with discussion.
Second by Ms. Smith for discussion.
Thank you. I just wanted to add into that the fiscal note on some of these just had a minor adjustment that had to be done in the wording. So that is going to be done, and that will be updated and provided to us in our files. So just that they were all voted and approved upon with that caveat.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. Next item, discussion and or vote to approve payment of bills. Mr. Collins.
payment of bills. We have payment of the bills amount of $1,942,424.33. Payment of bills passed Fiscal Management Subcommittee 3-0, and I'd move passage to the full committee.
Mr. Collins makes a motion to approve payment of bills. Do we have a second? Second by Mrs. Vogel. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda, school committee comments, school liaison reports. Any comments from the school committee? Oh, Mrs. Rogalski.
Just a couple of things. We all got the email about how the CHS chorus and band did, and so I just wanted to send out big congratulations to them. Clipper Band, first place in their division. Treble Chorus, first place in their division. Concert Chorus, first place in their division. Clef Singers, first place in their division. It's just such a fantastic program that Ms. Santo and Mr. Ferrucci are running here. So they deserve all the accolades, and if you are lucky enough to hear them in person, the Star Spangled Banner, just by the Clef Singers alone, is just something, it's absolutely beautiful. So if you have the opportunity, please go see them, please go support the arts. Second, I wanted to congratulate JV State Track and Field. We had 3 individual state champions. Varsity Track and Field, we had 2 individual state champions and 1 team state champion. And best of luck tomorrow to the high school baseball team who faces off against Bishop Hendricken in the semifinal game here at Tucker. So it's at 3:30 if people want to go support the team.
Thank you. Ms. Smith.
Just a couple of items. First, Mr. Pregnano, very much going to miss you, and thank you for your years and contribution to our budgets. You always keep them very tight and sometimes too close to the vest, but we appreciate that. Second is, I attended the senior awards banquet last evening and was completely blown away. Some of the awards and some of the people that were there, I think Mr. Costa said it well, it takes longer, not because he's slowing down in his process of giving out those awards, but because the list of our student accolades continues to grow. So congratulations to all those seniors. There were so many represented there last evening. And best of luck next Friday at graduation. We look forward to being there with you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Any other comments? I just want to remind everyone that Thursday is the senior car parade. So everyone come on out and cheer our seniors on. And then, of course, graduation is Friday. So an exciting time of year. Next, vote to go into executive session for discussion of items referred to Rhode Island General Law 4246-5. We do have something.
Madam Chair, actually, as talking to Mr. Adams, I believe we're all set.
Oh, okay.
Unless the committee wants to, I talked to Dr. Thornton, and you guys had handled some things while I was out of the room
Okay.
that I didn't know that had been discussed, which was probably smart and made it shorter without me.
Okay.
And so there was nothing else that Dr. Thornton had, unless you guys want to talk further about any issue.
You good, Dr. Thornton? Mr. Fiorello? You?
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, hold on. Ms. Smith?
Madam Chair, we had suspended the executive session, so we're going to have to reconvene and close the executive session.
I think you can just close. If somebody wants to move to adjourn and adjourn both open and closed, that would be fine. Maybe Mr. Fiorello, before it's seconded, could withdraw that. Move
Thank
to
you.
adjourn both open and closed. Yeah.
I'll motion to adjourn both reopen executive and close executive and adjourn the full meeting.
Adjourn both. Okay, so Mr. Fiorello makes a motion to close the exec session and close this session all at the same time. Do we have a second? Second by Mrs. Feather. All in favor? Aye. Aye opposed. We are adjourned at 8:07 PM.